Hi, and welcome to the Eczema Podcast, where you'll learn tips, products, and natural eczema remedies from Abby, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of eczemaconquerors.com. Stay tuned as she invites experts in the field. Here's your host of the Eczema Podcast, Abby.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Eczema Podcast. Today, I have a really great guest for you. She is so knowledgeable, and I am very excited that I've had the opportunity to meet her. Her name is Dr. Julie Greenberg, and she is a licensed naturopathic doctor, and she founded the Center for Integrative Dermatology. She's really passionate about natural skincare, and she also received her MBA from Stanford, and she's helping a lot of people who are going through eczema and other skin challenges as well. And I love that she's also training and teaching other naturopathic students on dermatology and integrative dermatology. So welcome to the show, Dr. Julie.
Thanks so much for having me, Abby. I listen to your podcast and I love it. So I think you're doing such great work.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you on the podcast and to have you share your knowledge. And I know that just before this, we were talking about a lot of information. And even before this, we've talked about how there's a lot of great information that you have to share. And I also love how you're so knowledgeable with integrative dermatology because it's lacking so much in today's industry. There's not a lot of people who really specialize in that. And I'm just so thankful that you do specialize in it.
Yeah, it's true. I wish that there were more of us, which is why I'm out there doing a lot of education of doctors, even dermatologists, students, like you said, medical students. It's just so important. We have a lot of dermatologists and practitioners who do aesthetic medicine, which is great. People want to look and feel great, but we need more practitioners in the medical dermatology space and in the integrative space, really trying to find the root causes to these chronic inflammatory diseases like eczema that plague our kids and they plague adults, and the rates are increasing. So I hope we'll get more people on board with this.
Yes, definitely. So can you tell our viewers how you first got started into integrative dermatology and how you switched into it?
Yeah, so it was kind of a personal journey. For myself, I actually was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis or autoimmune hypothyroidism in my 20s, right after business school, after I got my MBA at Stanford. And I had never had a health crisis before. And so like many of us, I took my health for granted, and I thought healthy eating was like lean cuisine and a Diet Coke, because that was what we were told, is eat low fat. And when I went to the doctor and got diagnosed, they were just like, oh, we don't know what causes this, and we don't really know how to fix it. So you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life, and probably you're going to just continue to gain weight and be tired. And, there's not much we can do about it. And it was just so devastating to me that this was the head of USC Endocrinology Health Center. Like, this is a major, health organization. The head of endocrinology was saying this to me. And so I started doing research on my own and on food. And then I really got into the products and what are the chemicals that we put on our skin. And that research kind of led me to all the endocrine disruptors and phthalates and parabens, and really learning just that there's not really any regulation for what we put on our skin. And women and kids, we can put like up to 120 chemicals on our skin a day with our personal care products. And that affects us all over. And so I just got really passionate about it and skincare, and started making my own skincare and doing research. And that really led me into the whole space, and just learning how, when you get an answer from a doctor that's like, oh, we don't know, and there's nothing we can do, that's kind of not good enough, right? We need to keep asking questions and keep trying to find the root cause, because otherwise we're just suppressing symptoms, and then that medication that we're taking causes another symptom. So then we need to take another medication to suppress that symptom. And it's called polypharmacy. And most Americans are on multiple prescriptions for this reason.
Wow. And that's so true what you said about how Americans are on so many types of medication. And I love that you're really working to find the root cause. And today, I know that one of the topics that we wanted to talk about is the skin pH and how that affects the whole skin system and how that affects eczema as well. So I would love to learn more about what you have to share about how the skin pH affects the whole body and the whole skin system.
Yeah, so I know it sounds really technical, and I'll go through what pH is first for your listeners. But I'm going to also try to put it in a way that I think that just kind of makes sense. So pH is a scale, and I think we kind of inherently know things are acidic, right? Lemon juice is really acidic. Battery acid is actually super acidic. So on the scale, we kind of go like 0 to 14, and battery acid is 0, lemon juice is 2. Things like blood and water are neutral, that's 7. And then things that are alkaline are like ammonia or like a drain cleaner. They're up at like 12 and 14. And pH is really important to how the body works. And all over our body, we have different pHs that have to be correct in order for our body to function properly. So our stomach, I think we all know we have stomach acid. That's really acidic, right? We have a pH of about 2. Whereas our blood is very tightly controlled. It has to be a pH of like around 7.3, 7.4. And if it gets even just slightly off, you basically can't function. Well, the skin has its own pH, and it's supposed to be acidic. So skin is optimally functioning at a pH of like 4.5 to 5.5. Now, normally, like back in caveman days when we were out and about, we weren't taking hot showers every day, and we weren't using soaps on our body every day. But as we've developed, our hygiene, it's pretty common for people to take hot showers every day and scrub themselves down with soap, right? And sadly, we've kind of created this perfect storm where we are constantly disrupting the pH of our skin. So if we think about, like, let's say you had a pat of cold butter on a glass plate and you wanted to get it off, what would you do? You'd run really hot water and you'd use soap, right? And that gets the fat off really easily. I mean, if you tried otherwise, you would just be smooshing, the cold pat of butter around the plate, but you put hot water and soap on it and it's like clean in a few seconds. Well, we do that to our skin. So we have this like really nice lipid layer that we produce fatty acids in our skin, and that is protective. So first we run hot water and soap on it. So we remove the fatty acid layer, and then the soap themselves are super alkaline. So they have a high pH of like 12. So we kind of do everything we can to make our skin barrier disrupted, unfortunately. And just think about now in the times of COVID, I think we're all washing our hands a lot, 20, 30 seconds underwater with soap. And how many of us are having cracked, dry hands? Some of us are bleeding on our hands. And that's, again, we're just stripping the lipid layer off and we're creating a really alkaline pH. And our skin just can't recover from that on its own, just in the amount of time that it has between washings. And even just putting water on your skin, they found in studies, it raises the pH of your skin, and it can take up to 6 hours for your skin to naturally get that pH back down to an acidic level.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's kind of the perfect storm of we're just constantly like hitting our skin barrier with things that are not helpful for it.
Mm-hmm. So what if people do use water and then they put on a cream after that's more of a correct pH that's optimal for their skin? Will that help bring it back into balance?
It can. So creams are usually not at a pH that's going to be acidic. They just can't be formulated that way. And it's interesting because when you see a product that says, oh, it's pH balance, it feels like, oh, okay, that's great. Like it's pH balance for my skin. But what that really means is it's probably neutral. So it's probably at a 7. And actually skin, we want to be like 4.5 to 5.5. So there's a lot of things, and this is critical, right? If we want to even, not just eczema, but certainly for eczema, we know that eczema is a problem with inflammation and it's a problem with skin barrier disruption. So for all of my eczema patients, we go through this, we talk about skin pH. I show them the kind of chart and they can visualize the pH scale. And then we talk about, okay, so we're going to wash our hands. We're going to use soap, right? We need to clean. So how do we do that in minimal ways? How do we use nice kind of more gentle soaps, right? So I think the more natural a soap, when you look at the ingredients, how many ingredients does it have? Is it a list of 20 multisyllabic chemicals that you can't pronounce? Or is it like, 5 or 6 things where you basically know where that is? So let's start with using a gentle soap, but then we're going to re-acidify our skin. We're going to help it out. And so there's a lot of great, natural, wonderful products for your skin. One of my favorites, aloe vera gel. Is so great for skin. So first of all, it's acidic. It's got a pH of around 4.5. So automatically, we're helping bring that pH back down on our skin. And aloe vera gel is healing and soothing. It's not even just good for damaged skin. It's been found to help even with like wrinkles and skin quality. So I use aloe vera gel every single day all over my whole body and face after the shower. And it's really pretty cost effective. You can get good big bottles of it for like $8 for 16 ounces, high quality aloe vera gel. And I want to point out, this is not the green gloopy stuff that you see when you go to your pharmacy that touts itself as like, after sun aloe vera gel. Real aloe vera gel is very thin. It's kind of watery and white. So it shouldn't be green and gloopy. That's not the good stuff. So aloe vera gel is one of my favorites. Works great for eczema. You could put it on babies and kids. You can put it on adults. Fantastic. Another product I love is hydrosols. And are you familiar with hydrosols? A lot of people don't know exactly what they are.
Yeah. So I've tried like rose hydrosols before, different hydrosols, but maybe you can explain it because I know a lot of my viewers probably haven't heard about it before.
Yeah, I think hydrosols are one of the most underused products in skincare, like one of the best things for us and one of the least known. So we probably all heard of essential oils, and hydrosols are produced in the production process of essential oils. So let's say we're making lavender essential oil. They usually take hundreds of pounds of lavender and they put it in a big copper distiller with water, and then they heat it up. And the stuff that evaporates goes into the air and gets cooled down a tube and collects into a separate vessel. And the stuff that's floating on top is the essential oil. And that's very, very concentrated plant products. And that, we don't want to put that directly on our skin. You need to dilute it and really know what you're doing if you're working with essential oils. You can burn the skin, you can get sensitized, you can get into trouble. But the water that collects over in the other vessel underneath the essential oil is the hydrosol. And so it's water that's been infused with the plant properties, but it's not like super concentrated in the way that essential oils are. But it is wonderful, and it's gentle. It has the healing properties of the plant in it. It's also acidic, so its pH is about 4.5 to 5.5. Smells fantastic. You can get it in, lavender and rosemary, rose, like you said, rose geranium, all sorts of hydrosols. And I don't use essential oils usually on babies or kids because it's just too much. But hydrosols I use liberally, and they're wonderful. They're wonderful if you have dandruff. They're wonderful for eczema. They're wonderful for psoriasis. So aloe and hydrosols I think are two of my main go-tos to help re-acidify the skin. And then, like you're saying, you want nice, natural, healthy creams. That's going to put the lipid layer back on. So those combination things help rebalance the skin quickly. And if you've got COVID hands, try this out and you'll see they'll start to heal. Even when you're washing them, you just put on like aloe or hydrosol and then a nice good cream afterwards, and your hands should start to heal even with the washing.
That's so great. I love that tip. Thank you so much for it. So I know that there are a lot of brands out there that are probably contain like a lot of preservatives, or like they're not real, just like a lot of other skincare products out there. So do you have any recommendations for aloe vera gel and also for the hydrosols?
Yes. So I do have a specific brand. So I love Mountain Rose Herbs is an herbal farm based in Oregon, which if your listeners don't know is, it's very rural and there's a lot of natural farming. So Mountain Rose has very high quality stuff. They have essential oils, aloe vera gel, hydrosols. I love their stuff. I will say right now with COVID, the whole world has suddenly discovered the value of herbal medicine, and there's a run on all these products. So there's wait times to get it. So you may have to wait a couple weeks to get your stuff, but I really love them. But I will say, I like to teach my patients, read the labels. So many of us go to the market. If we're, obviously if you're picking up kale, that's great. There's nothing to read. It's just a bunch of leaves. But anytime, you pick up a packaged product of any kind, I think a lot of us kind of inherently like pick it up and turn it over and read the ingredients. Like, hey, do I know what this is? Now, how many of us have read the ingredient label on our products? Every single product that you put on yourself or your kids, you should read the label and see if you understand the ingredients. Now, the only caveat is natural products, natural ingredients, they include the Latin name. So that may be unfamiliar to you, and that's okay, but they'll usually have the common name next to it. So like Rosmarinus officinalis is rosemary, and usually you'll see both of them. But it's the same as any food. Like if you don't understand what those ingredients are, don't put it on your body or your kid's body.
Yeah, and I just also want to share as well that there are a lot of databases out there that people can use as well, like the EWG group, and there's other sites as well. I think there's one called Paula's Choice, and I know there's some Inky decoders out there as well that can help people. So yeah, hopefully that can be of help in case anyone wants to do some research.
Yeah, the EWG database is great. You can enter products and ingredients and find out about them. And your line, I've looked at all the ingredients in your product line, and you have great ingredients, great natural ingredients that when people read it, they're going to understand what that is. So I think it's, you find trusted brands and you learn how to read labels, and you can do your research at like the EWG, and all of those things together can get you to good, healthy products, good products for your skin.
So Dr. Julie, one thing that has really given me some pet peeve is a lot of the mainstream products out there that are marketed to help eczema actually don't seem to contain really good ingredients. What are your thoughts about that? And also, one of the popular products out there is CeraVe. And what do you think about the ingredients in it?
Yeah, so, a lot of this is just marketing hype, right? And you see words like all natural, there's a lot of these terms that actually aren't regulated. It doesn't mean anything. So you can put anything in it basically and call it all natural. And it's unfortunate. That's why I think you do need to learn how to read labels and learn ingredients. CeraVe and all of those, some people find them helpful, but again, when you turn it over and you look at the ingredients, you'll find a couple things. A lot of these products contain petroleum. Mineral oil is a petroleum-based product, and it is literally a byproduct from the petroleum industry, from making gasoline. It's from oil. And so on the one hand, right, mineral oil is occlusive. It does put a barrier on your skin. So they'll tout it and say like, oh, it's so good for your skin. But I think we all know inherently putting petroleum and oil byproducts is not actually good for our skin.
Same as Vaseline.
And there's a lot of, there's a lot of good alternatives to it, right, that actually do much better in studies. Like if you look at coconut oil versus mineral oil, coconut oil will outperform stuff like Vaseline and petroleum-based oils every time in terms of healing the skin, in terms of fighting Staph aureus. So it's not a necessary ingredient, and it's not helpful or healthy for you or your kids. The other problems I think with lotions is anytime you have a lotion, it's a base of oil and water. And we all know from 5th grade science class that when you pour together oil and water, they don't mix, they float one on top of the other. And so in order to get a lotion, you have to use an emulsifier, which smashes together the molecules at a molecular level so that the oil and water doesn't separate. And then now that you have water in your product, you must have preservative, because if you don't have preservative, you're going to get bacteria and fungal growth very quickly. It won't be shelf stable. So when you're buying a product like CeraVe, when you look at the ingredients, most of the first ingredients on the product are going to be water, like a petroleum, mineral oil, emulsifiers, and preservatives. Emulsifiers and preservatives are not good for your skin. In fact, emulsifiers strip the lipid layer from your skin. So the more watery a lotion, the more emulsifier, and the more it can actually strip the lipid layer and aggravate your skin. So yeah, I actually am not a fan of lotions or those kinds of products. And unfortunately, they're not even really good for us. There's just many better alternatives out there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your opinion, because I've personally looked at some of the ingredients for some of the mainstream products, and there's a lot of ingredients that really wouldn't match up to my standards. So yeah, I appreciate you for sharing your opinion as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Thanks for listening to the Eczema Podcast, and stay tuned for our next episode. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass it along to your friends. Visit eczemaconquerors.com for more articles and tips. Thanks for listening.